Welcome back to Justice on this very busy night of news. A lot of talk about with my political panel that needs to be gotten to, so let's get right to it. Joining me live tonight to battle it out, GOPAC Chairman David Avella and Democratic strategist, Fox News contributor Richard Fowler. All right, gentlemen, Anthony Scaramucci. Good move, David Avella?
Good move. Lots of that first performance was solid, held a good command. Very positive move for the president. He will be an asset. But let's not forget, Judge, the president will not ultimately be judged by any one staffer in his administration. Americans will judge him based off, does he make their life better? And does he make their life easier? And the staff is there to help make that happen. But it is ultimately the policies and the ideas that the president implements that will decide whether he's successful or not.
But, Richard, isn't it the case that you've got to get the message out? And wouldn't you agree that they've been having a lot of trouble getting their message out?
No, I mean, I think they have been having a lot of trouble getting their message out. But David is right. It's about what the president can do to make the lives of Americans easier. And the problem the president's having is with the other side of Pennsylvania Avenue. And these White House shakeups, whether it's this story or this sort of revolving door, is Bannon in, is Reince out in this whole conversation.
There's no revolving door yet. I mean, okay, so we changed one guy.
I said conversations of the revolving door, right, only help to slow down his agenda.
Rumors of palace intrigue.
Whatever it might be, it's slowing down his agenda on the other side of Pennsylvania Avenue, where he can't get his health care bill done, he can't get tax reform done, he can't get infrastructure done, so he's literally batting ON besides Neil Gorsuch.
What do you say to that, David?
The media has chosen to continue this same story like every few days. Oh, there's a media shake, or there's a staff shakeup that's going to happen. The reality is, if you look throughout history, every president has had staff upheaval, staff infighting, staff trying to get the edge of the president's ear so that they can win on policy. This is not new. The media just likes to stay focused on it and, quite frankly, write the same story over and over again with no new information, just to keep the information about.
Richard, let's talk about what is happening now with the Washington Post. Washington Post is now alleging that Kislyak told the Kremlin that he was having all of these conversations with the Attorney General. The Attorney General is denying it, and the Attorney General says, that he hasn't had any discussions with the Russians. I mean, if you have anonymous sources and you constantly are kicking back at the president's at his team, how can they possibly get their message out?
Well, I think the president has to get his message out to the American people, but what would help the president's message is getting some policy accomplishments done on the Hill. What Donald Trump wants to continue to tweet about, the fake news media, he wants to make this about whether or not, the Kislyak at Sessions meeting happened. The only reason we're having these conversations is because in an interview a couple of days ago, he said to the failing New York Times, which he tweeted later on, that I don't really like Sessions. Sessions, if he was going to recuse himself, I wouldn't have picked him.
He didn't say I don't like Sessions. He didn't say that.
He recused himself, I wouldn't pick him.
You know what? No.
This all goes back to the fact. This all goes back to the fact, Judge, that you could make this story whatever you want to make it about. But here's the truth. The truth is he has 52 votes in the Senate, and he has a huge majority in the House of Representatives. He should be getting his agenda passed very easily. Sadly, he's not, and he can only blame his own party for that.
Okay, David. You know what? I have to agree with Richard.
Well, here's the fact. The Washington Post would rather believe an alleged leak report about something a Russian ambassador may or may not have told somebody that somehow got into a leaked report over any other evidence that we currently have. That the Washington Post would rather believe that. And let me say one other thing about this whole Russia, which let's not forget how this started. This started by the Democrats alleging that Russia interfered with our elections. And somehow, I don't remember hearing Richard or any of the other Democrats screaming and yelling when President Obama sent his campaign manager over to Israel to try to get Benjamin Netanyahu.
David, I got to tell you, this is out of scope of the segment, but a couple points here. Number one, it's the 17th intelligence agency that said that Russia interfered in our elections.
You're wrong, Richard.
No,
I'm
not wrong. You can go pull the statements.
Richard, I'm going to stop you. There was a pullback on that. They said that was not accurate, that it was 4 agencies and
James
not
Clapper,
17.
well, okay, 4, 17,
not 17.
10.
You know what?
I'm sorry, I got to tell you, I trust our intelligence agency more than any other American. And the fact that 4 of them are saying that the Russians have meddled in our election, that is indeed problematic, but that does not escape the point that President Trump, whether it's Russia, whether it's Don Jr.'s meetings, whether it's Jeff Sessions, this president is unable to get his agenda done besides the quote-unquote swamp in Washington. He has majorities in both chambers. He can get nothing done.
You said that.
That's the problem, but that's the story.
Okay,
it's not any of this other stuff.
You said that. Now let me go to David. Now, David, isn't it true that the Democratic Party and the left-wing media are all about resisting this president? And in addition to that, let's assume that that's the case. Shouldn't he have enough on our side to get his agenda passed?
Yes, and yes. Yes, the Democrats are out to try to keep him off track and not let him get done what he wants to get done. And yes, Republicans have to deliver. And there are plenty of areas of agreement that even on health care that Republicans and Democrats could come together on. Let me give you just one example. We're talking right now about Medicaid and how many people are going to get covered by insurance and how many people aren't going to have government insurance. And the reality for most people in America that are dealing with Medicaid is increasingly more and more doctors aren't taking Medicaid patients. So even if you had the best insurance possible, you're not going to be able to see a doctor because they're not taking Medicaid patients. And the Democrats don't want to talk about that because it's their system that they've got in place. Put more and more doctors leaving. It's what Obamacare is all about.
This is the same talking point you've had for 7 years. You had 7 years to craft a policy that could pass through your party. Neither you nor the president nor any member of the Senate can seem to do it. And this speaks to the fact that he doesn't have control of his party. And you guys run Washington. You can't get mad at Democratic obstruction because 5, 6, 7 years ago you got mad at me on this same show for getting mad at Republican obstruction.
Democratic obstruction.
But there was Republican obstruction for 8 years.
Here, Donald Trump is an outsider. He came in as an outsider, anti-establishment. And you know what? I believe that the American people are going to take it out on the rhinos who aren't working to make this president successful.
Well, if they let Democrats while they do it, we'll take it.
Go ahead, David, last word.
Republicans are going to be okay in 2018. We'll gain seats in the U.S. Senate and hold the U.S. House.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Well, do you want to make a bet, anybody?
I'm not a betting man, but I'll tell you, if the agenda continues at this rate, Judge, we'll have Democratic majorities at both chambers.
That sounds like you're betting anyway. But anyway, David Avella, Richard Fowler, thanks for being with us tonight.
Good to be with you.
All right. And Rosie O'Donnell and the maniacal far-left Trump haters calling for yet even more violence. That's ahead. And next, how can the GOP Congress and the president get a much-needed win? Colonel Alan West, former GOP congressman, joins me live. Don't want to miss this.